Okay, so general agreement that they're, Bowling Green low on the, and UMass also low on the upset scale, but on the upset scale because anyway, too many things have happened. Michigan State though, we disagree. You guys have Michigan State losing at the Big House. I have Michigan State winning. David, why is Michigan going to beat Michigan State?
I just don't think the Spartans have as good of a team as the Michigan Wolverines do this season. And it all comes down to a few things, and one is just the overall talent on Michigan's team. I think it's finally starting to come together in year 3 of this Rich Rodriguez era. And also, Michigan State, they're a pretty solid team, but they're pretty unspectacular as well. And I just don't think the weapons on Michigan State's offense will be enough to keep up with the firepower that Denard Robinson and Vincent Smith, among others, have. And I just don't think they have the passing game to hurt a Michigan secondary that's the weak point of that team.
I mean, this team last year made Michigan look pretty silly for 3.5 quarters at him, and still had the same unspectacular athletes.
And that's what you got to say. It's like pretty much the same team that played Michigan last year with some key losses, and I don't see how much the team could have taken that much of a leap that Michigan's taken. I don't.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
I also think that they're playing with a chip on their shoulders, and I know it's bad reasoning, but come on, you can't lose to Michigan. It's a double revenge game, for goodness sake.
I was going to say it. You beat me to it, David. Well, I have Michigan State winning for one simple reason. Kirk Cousins was the most efficient passer in the Big Ten last year, and against that Michigan secondary, that scares me. Especially if Carvin Johnson, who knows how long Carvin Johnson's going to be out. There's another guy out of the secondary that you lose, but the passing attack is what scares me. I picked UConn to lose because I knew Zach Frazier was crap, despite what ESPN said. You look at his numbers last year; they were pretty bad. I mean, you knew that they were a run-based team. I liked Michigan's chance to stop the run against Michigan State, not so much the pass. So, and also it's a double revenge game, which in the twisted reverse logic now of Michigan football fandom means that it's got to become a triple revenge game next year. Just saying.
Come on,
okay,
Alex.
let's move on to Iowa, though, because once again, I'm in the minority on Iowa. I chose Michigan to beat Iowa at the Big House this year. You guys both went with Iowa. David, why Iowa?
Well, I'm going to just say this. I'm much less confident in my pick of Iowa after this past weekend. Iowa is basically Connecticut on steroids. And they don't have that type of firepower on defense, that type of speed to keep up with Denard Robinson, to keep up with Vincent Smith. But with that being said, they're a very experienced team. Ricky Stanzi's, again, solid but unspectacular quarterback, and they don't make that many mistakes. So I think you're going to see a team like Iowa come in, and they have that killer instinct. They were good last year, and I just don't think Michigan has that killer instinct quite yet.
Adam?
I got to go with the same thing. We don't have the experience Iowa has. They're a well-disciplined, well-coached team. They are every year. Kirk Ferentz is a great coach. He coaches these guys who are 2-star recruits into darn good defenses. And I can see him finding a way to stop Denard Robinson. I mean, he's not going to be this fresh new guy by week 7.
That's true. Can you imagine the alternate reality where Kirk Ferentz was hired as Michigan's coach?
That was a rumor.
Right, that was a rumor. He just signed an extension to, the age of Joe Paterno. He's extended at Iowa or something like that. It's not that ridiculous. But I went with Michigan. It's pretty easy. Last year, Michigan almost beat Iowa, should have beat Iowa, in Iowa City at that game. It was a night game. Everyone was extra excited. Let's be honest, everyone's always extra excited when Michigan comes to town, even in the last couple of years when they have a better chance to win. But Michigan they deserved to win that game. They made a lot of stupid mistakes. The 2 Tony Moacki touchdown receptions were just completely blown coverages, free points. Of course, Ricky Stanzi did throw a famous Stanzi ball at the beginning of the game, Donovan Warren, so maybe those wash out. But most importantly, Tate played most of that game. When Denard came in, and it was one-dimensional, Denard's going to run up the middle, they couldn't stop it because they're 2-star recruits. Yeah. And you don't see an athletic defense against Iowa, and I think that's really what you're looking for, to stop a Michigan team. Anyway.
I'm also less optimistic about my pick now.
Okay.
I am.
So Alex was right. Okay. Let's take a look at the full season predictions, everyone. You'll see the total numbers here. Adam has the team at 7-4. That's not possible.
That's not. I had him at 8-4. I have him at
8-4. Everyone has him at 8-4, but how it comes out is different. Of course, we already mentioned I'm more optimistic on the Iowa game, less optimistic on Michigan State. And here you go. You can take a look at the schedule. Adam, of course, less confident with his Notre Dame pick, but still perhaps sticking to it. It's still a mystery. No one knows. But controversially, I have Michigan losing at Indiana. I'm very scared of the Pistol offense and Ben Chappell, perhaps too scared. I'll give you that. I'm less confident about that pick now. Of course, my controversial picks at Penn State, at Iowa. Of course, Penn State not starting Kevin Newsom at quarterback. Now beginning to wonder about that selection. We'll have to see. But there you go. We'll show them all year round. So we're going to stick, we're going to stick to the picks, and we'll see how right or wrong they were. Because last year, after the Notre Dame, after the 4 wins, we did predictions, and we had some 9 and 3s in there, and ended up 5 and 7. So we're going to keep it consistent and see what happens. Got to move on to Notre Dame now. Big game against Notre Dame. You can see some of the storylines Notre Dame is facing. Of course, Brian Kelly in his first year out of Cincinnati, win against Purdue there. They only returned 11 starters total on the entire team, but of course, a lot of talent there. Charlie Weiss could recruit, amazingly. Couldn't lose weight, but he could recruit. Let's talk about Notre Dame. Let's start with Michigan having the ball, David. What do you see transpiring there? Does Michigan have a chance against this great Notre Dame defense that shut down the vaunted Robert Marve and the Purdue offense? Yes, last week.
Absolutely have a chance. And I think it's going to come down to controlling the ball just as they did against Connecticut. You see Denard Robinson, and he's not going to be able to have 30 carries this time around. But if he can have 20 solid carries, along with Vincent Smith and Michael Shaw carrying some of the load, keeping those nice screen passes going, and not having to throw the ball downfield or getting behind, I think Michigan has a great chance. I think the offense is going to be their huge strength, and the key is going to be keeping the defense off the field with those big play threats that Notre Dame has.
As you mentioned, Dane Christ, only 1 letter off from Christ.
He's still only a freshman, though.
This is true.
He's still a freshman, and freshmen are bound to make mistakes. We saw it last year. We had 2 freshman quarterbacks. We saw it the year before. We had 2 first-year quarterbacks then. And so while Dane Christ is a good quarterback and has the potential to, carve this Michigan secondary up, he's still a freshman, and I'm not going to give in to the hype just yet.
Well, that was our discussion of offense on both sides, and now we should discuss defense on both sides. I led us in the wrong direction there. But Sierra Wood had a pretty good game against Purdue last week for Notre Dame, and of course Armando Allen, of famous Did He or Did He Not Step Out of Bounds against Michigan last year at the Big House. But they're the Lendell White, Reggie Bush light version right there. The Thunder and Lightning, Tiki Barber, and who was the other guy in the Giants way back?
Ron Dane.
Ron
Dane, that's right.
Yeah, very familiar face.
Wisconsin, that's right. Anyway, so on defense, though, Michigan's going to be playing a pass-heavy attack, which does worry me. I think they have enough talent to overcome it. But like you said, time of possession really key. But Notre Dame's defense has some trouble, too. They have a terrible time rushing the quarterback. And even though they did contain Robert Marve, we don't really know what that means just yet. Do you expect... What do you think it comes down to for Michigan on offense, Adam? Is it the run game or is it the passing?
It's the run game, and it's ball possession. It's keeping the defense off the field, keeping Michigan's offense on the field. That's what it's going to come down to, I think, most every game.
All right. Well, predictions time, David. Are you going to stick to your guns, stay with the Michigan?
I'm definitely going to stick to my guns. I think it's going to be a very close contest. I think that's going to be kind of similar to last year's in the fact that you're going to see a lot of scoring on both sides. But I have Michigan winning 31-24. I just think they control the ball. Notre Dame's big play threats will make a couple big plays, but I think Michigan wins.
Adam?
I'm waffling and picking Michigan. I think this team's going to be better than people think.
All right. Well, I'm 1-0 on the year, and I'll stay with my picks and go with Michigan. That's all we have for this week on Varsity Blue. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll have all sorts of exciting coverage from South Bend. Until then, keep the faith. Go Blue.